Hello and welcome back. In the last video you have seen on how to add now the iGeneric repository and the implementation class, but we didn't implement all the methods that are in there. And we're going to go back into the generic repository, and first of all, as we're going to be dealing with the data access, we need to bring the DB context in here. I'm going to go into the generic repository and use the control dot to bring the quick fix, and I'm going to generate the constructor. And inside this constructor, I'm going to bring up the context in here. I'm going to say application DB context, and I'm going to call this as context. And I'm going to initialize the field from parameter. And again, you can see that this is still bringing issues, but we can remove that one. All right. And after now we are getting access to the context, we're going to remove this not implemented, and we're going to implement this method. And the first thing that we need to do is to make this method as an async method. And in this case, I'm going to say await, and I'm going to press enter. And we have to make this asynchronous automatically. And I'm going to point to the context. And this is now where we are going to set the type. And I'm going to say set. And I'm going to set the T like this one. And this T will be represented by the entity that will be implementing this one. And I'm going to add the bracket like this one. And I'm going to say that find async as we're going to get the individual product. And I'm going to use this find async, and I'm going to pass in now the ID. And here also we need to add the return. All right, and now we are done. After now implementing this method for getting the individual product or the individual item, I'm going to do the same for getting the rest. And again, we're going to say return await, and I'm going to use the autocomplete to make this as async. And I'm going to access the context, and I'm going to say set T. And again, I'm going to go ahead and say to list async like this one. And when you take a closer look to how now implemented these two methods, you can see that when you compare this to the product repository, we ignored that there will be these includes, and we can't for sure add these includes for the type that we don't know. And the navigation properties aren't the same to these different entities. As we be setting this entity, it will have its own properties, and we can't tell for sure what the navigation properties to add in here. And whenever we try to, for example, to say include, and you try to add something here, you can see that it's going to be bringing errors, as this is not now the correct syntax to use. And you will see on how to do this. And after we are done with this, we can go ahead and see how we can use this into the controller. And when you go into the controller, we are going to remove everything related to the repository pattern, and you're going to introduce the generics in here too. And I'm going to remove this. And in this case, we're going to make the use of 3 repositories. We're going to use the one for the product, the one for the product types, and one for the product brands. And you may ask yourself, why do we need to use 3 repositories instead of using 1? And that's where I need you to have a little bit of patience. We'll see now the benefits of this later on. So I'm going to go ahead and say iGeneric repository, and we need to pass in the type here, and I'm going to give this as a product, and this is now the type that it is going to take, and I'm going to call this as product lipo like this one. And to make this clear, I'm going to bring this down because we're going to get something that is similar like a lot into this constructor. And I'm going to add also the iGeneric repository. And in this case, I'm going to get for the product type, and I'm going to call this as product type lipo like this one. And again, lastly, we need to add the one for the product brand. I'm going to say iGeneric repository, and I'm going to set the type as product brand, and I'm going to call this product brand repo. Okay. And after this, we need to initialize the field from these parameters, and I'm going to use the quick fix here. I don't know why it is not bringing the underscore, but we need to add that manually. And I'm going to do the same for the product brands. And after we're done with this, I'm going to use the same syntax here. I'm going to add the underscore. And here now we need to remove this. And I'm going to use the underscore too. By introducing these separate repositories, you can see that we can't use this lipo anymore as we don't have it. Instead, whenever we're going to get the product, we're going to use the specific repository for that. I'm going to use the products lipo dot list or async. As simple as this, and then we are done. And again, for the individual product, we need to do the same. I'm going to bring in the product lipo, and I'm going to say get all by ID async, and we need to pass in the ID, and then we are done. And again, we need to do this for the product blends, and I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to say product blend lipo, and I'm going to say list or async, like we done on the product. And again, here we need to remove these, and I'm going to say product types lipo, and I'm going to say list or async, like this one. And again, as we're not going to be adding the navigation properties, it is now possible that we're going to get the nar values for the product blends and for the product types, but we will see on how to fix that in the next videos. And after we set up these repositories and we try to get this data by using the specific repositories, it's now time to go and test if now our functionalities are working. And I'm going to start my server. I'm going to navigate to the API project, and in here I'm going to say .NET, watch, run, and wait. Alright, and now once the server is started, I'm going to go into the Postman and try to send this request. I'm going to send the one for the individual product and see if we get the success. I'm going to go ahead and click send, and you can see that we're getting the data. And again, you can see that we're getting this as nar, and no surprises, as we're not using the navigation properties, we expect to see this behavior. And when we go to the get product to get the list of the product, and you go ahead and send this request, you can see that we are getting now the list of the products as expected. And again, we're getting this as nar values. So in order to fix this, you need to add the specification pattern, and that's what we're going to be doing in the next videos. So see you there. Let me know if you met with any problem, and don't forget to press the like button on this video, and let me know in the comments if you have any concern regarding this, because I know this is a quite confusing topic, but I beg you to be with me. We will see the benefits of this after we end this generic topic. So see you there and stay cool.